Hey everyone, welcome to Adventures for the Curious. My name is Mindy and today we're talking about something I absolutely love, badass female warriors who helped change history. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, especially if you want more content like this in the future. And click the notifications button so you can stay on top of fresh new content right when I upload it. Gender roles have always been a matter of debate throughout history. While I believe in some gender-specific roles, I also know there are exceptions to those roles. Many women in history have been summoned to a higher calling and have answered that calling with badass strength, bravery, and determination. In many cases, their heroic actions changed history, and that's just awesome. Ready for some badassery? I am. Let's go. Number 5. Tomo Gozen. Oh, and just so you guys know, I'm going to butcher these names, so please forgive me for that. Okay, so here we go with Tomo Gozen. Did you know that men weren't the only samurais in ancient Japan? Yes, that's right, a few exceptional women also made the ranks of these famed warriors. The term for a female samurai was Ana Ugeisha, and the most famous of all was Tomo in the 12th century. Tomo was amazing. In the tale of the Heike, I probably butchered that by the way, the author writes, Tomo was especially beautiful with white skin, long hair, and charming features. She was also a remarkably strong archer, and as a swordswoman, she was a warrior worth 1,000, ready to confront a demon or a god, mounted or on foot. She handled unbroken horses with superb skill. She rode unscathed down perilous descents. Whenever a battle was imminent, Yoshinaka sent her out as his first captain, equipped with strong armor, an oversized sword, and a mighty bow, and she performed more deeds of valor than any of his other warriors. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Her strength, bravery, and fierceness in battle was so legendary she quickly rose through the ranks and in 1182 commanded a force of 300 warriors against an army of 2,000. Although greatly outnumbered, Tomo and her warriors won that battle, and she went on to fight many more. Her finesse in battle exerted a great influence on generations of samurais to come. After her days of battle, Tomo settled down and married, and when her husband passed away, it's said she became a nun. 4. Joan of Arc. When 17-year-old Joan first told of her visions of the Archangel Michael urging her to assist the French army in expelling the English in the late period of the 100 Years' War, she was mocked and ridiculed. But girls like Joan don't take ridicule lightly. They don't shy away from others' doubt, but instead they gather their wits and courage and rise to prove them wrong, which is exactly what she did. After many attempts to persuade Charles VII to arm her for battle, he finally relented and granted her desire. It's said he did so because he had run out of options. He was losing the war and losing it badly. When her influence ended the siege of Orleans in just 9 days, the French army had a sudden change of heart and took Joan seriously. They finally recognized this young girl was as badass as any of the seasoned military soldiers in terms of strategy and wit. Joan was a brilliant strategist, and by the time she was 18 years old, she played a key role in commanding France's army. Joan was eventually captured in 1430 by the Burgundians, who were Frenchmen loyal to the English. Despite attempts to escape, rescue efforts, and negotiations to free her, Joan was put on trial by the English for heresy and cross-dressing. She suffered more ridicule and humiliation, but she never backed down or denied the fire in her soul that made her who she was. Unfortunately, she was found guilty and burned at the stake. But her legacy lived on. Her strategies played a major part in the French battle model for years to come. 25 years later, the Catholic Church investigated her charges of heresy and overturned those charges after finding her not guilty. And then 460 years later, Pope Benedict XV declared Joan of Arc a saint. 3. Botica. I remember reading a biography of Botica many years ago, and once you read of such bravery, determination, and patriotism, you can't forget it. Therefore, Botica is one of my favorite badass female warriors. Botica was the wife of Prasutagus, the king of the Iceni. She lived the normal life of a queen under Roman rule, until the king died and Botica was left a widow. Her husband's will stated that his daughters and his ally, the Roman emperor, would jointly inherit his kingdom. However, Rome was a jerk and only recognized a son's right to inherit. Instead of granting the kingdom to the king's daughters, they instead brutally ripped the kingdom from their hands, cruelly beating and raping them in the process. The Romans would regret that decision, because Botica was more than a minor tribal queen. She had the heart of a fierce lioness, ready to do anything to protect her children and her people from the invading Romans. Around 60 AD, Botica made a fateful choice to stand against the Romans and force them out of their land. She gave an impassioned plea for her people to unite and to fight, and 100,000 Iceni answered that call. Under her command, Botica destroyed the Roman capital of Britain, Camulodenum, which is modern-day Colchester. But her vengeful rampage didn't stop there. Emboldened by their victory, they rode on, pouring out their wrath on London and St. Albans. Her army killed between 70,000 and 80,000 Roman and British troops. Those major victories and the tales of the methodical fury of the woe-tattooed Iceni forced Emperor Nero to consider leaving Britain entirely. Nero urged one of his best generals to hurry to the location to quell this singularly ferocious uprising. The Roman army rallied and defeated Botica's army. The historian Tacitus reported that the Roman army's desperation to regain control was evident in the unusual slaughtering of women and animals. Rather than dying by the hand of her enemies, Botica poisoned herself. However, the exact cause of her death remains a mystery and is still debated today. Today, Botica is remembered in Britain as a folk hero, and a bronze statue on the western side of Westminster Bridge called Botica and Her Daughters stands as a testament to her bravery and fierce protectiveness of her people. The plaque on the statue reads, Botica, Botica, Queen of the Iceni, who died AD 61 after leading her people against the Roman invader. 2. Lozen. Lozen was an Apache warrior who, along with her tribe, was forced into the San Carlos Reservation in Arizona in the 1870s. San Carlos was a desolate and inhospitable place and was known as Hell's 40 Acres. Around 1877, Lozen and her brother decided that they wouldn't endure the harsh conditions of the reservation any longer. Her brother, Victorio, formed a band of warriors, and Lozen was among those chosen to revolt. At Victorio's side, they raided nearby settlements, and their ferocity struck fear into the hearts of the people, who had driven the Apache from their home on Black Mountain in New Mexico. During one battle, Lozen took pity on some women and children and gathered them up. She led them safely across the Rio Grande, and one man, who was a child at the time, would later recount that Lozen was a magnificent woman on a beautiful horse. The man's name was James Kewekla, and he remembers Lozen as a woman warrior who could ride and fight like a man. Kewekla wasn't the only one to sing Lozen's praises. Victorio, Lozen's brother, is quoted as saying, Lozen is my right hand, strong as a man, braver than most, and cunning in strategy. Lozen is a shield to her people. Lozen had a soft heart for the most vulnerable. It was this soft spot that prevented her from being by her brother's side as he fell in battle. While leading a mother and her newborn back to the reservation, Victorio suffered a fatal injury. When Lozen heard of her brother's death, she rushed back to the battle and provided aid to the survivors. When the band regrouped in 1881, they struck out on a vengeful rampage across New Mexico. Geronimo also counted Lozen as one of his most valuable assets when she chose to fight by his side. Her legend grew until tales of her were told and retold. In one legend, it is said that she could sense the enemy's location and number just by reaching out her arms. When Geronimo surrendered, Lozen was captured. While a prisoner, she contracted tuberculosis and died in captivity. However, her body was returned to the tribe so she could be buried according to Apache tradition in a place of great honor. 1. Ludmila Pavlochenko. I couldn't complete this list without including Ludmila Pavlochenko, the most prolific female sniper in recorded history. When she was just 24 years old, the self-ascribed tomboy pleaded to enlist into the infantry. She was refused, but she didn't give up, and eventually she was assigned to a combat position in the Red Army's 25th Rifle Division. However, she wasn't given a rifle at this time, but just one fragmentation grenade due to a weapons shortage. Her chance to make history came on August 8, 1941, when a fallen comrade handed her his bolt-action sniper rifle. She picked it up and immediately killed 2 enemies and gained the attention and appreciation of her fellow riflemen. She called those first 2 kills her baptism by fire. From there, she fought in the Siege of Odessa. During the 2.5-month battle, she recorded 187 kills. By the time she was injured by a mortar shell and removed from the front lines, Pavlochenko had recorded an amazing 309 kills. After she recovered, she continued military duty, training snipers for combat. In 1943, she was awarded the Gold Star of the Hero of the Soviet Union for her bravery and proficiency in battle. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Adventures for the Curious. I have to say, it was hard to narrow this list of 5, and I have so many other historical female badass warriors I'd like to talk about in future episodes. Do you know of a female warrior you'd like me to talk about in the future? If so, leave it in the comments and I'll do my best to include her on a future episode. Now, it's time for me to do a little bit of Jedi training myself. Remember to be kind to everyone and stay curious.